Mom, figure it out. It's not my problem. You're sick, my own daughter said. Her voice wasn't just annoyed, it was cold, detached. The kind of tone you use with a telemarketer, not the woman who sat up with you through 3 nights of chickenpox when you were 7. Then I heard the sharp beep of the line going dead. I didn't put the phone down immediately. I just stood there in the middle of my kitchen. The same kitchen where I'd bandaged her scraped knees and baked her graduation cake. My hand was trembling, not from age, I'm only 67, but from a chill that started in my chest and spread all the way to my fingertips. I stared at the screen. Call ended. I tried to text her. Please honey, it's just until Friday. Not delivered. She had blocked me. My daughter had blocked me because I told her I couldn't afford my heart medication. I looked up from the phone and caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. I looked small, gray, defeated. But then my eyes drifted to the refrigerator. Specifically, to the little magnet shaped like a pineapple that I bought in Boca Raton 20 years ago. Underneath that magnet was a slip of paper. A lottery ticket. I walked over and touched it, the paper feeling crisp and real under my fingertips. $333 million. That's what I was worth. I had been holding on to the winning Mega Millions ticket for exactly 3 weeks. I had the lawyers lined up. I had the trusts drafted. But before I signed my name and changed our lives forever, I had to know one thing. I had to know if my children loved me, or if they were just waiting for the old lady to get out of the way. So I decided to test them. Just a small test. A request for $200 for heart pills. And standing there with the hum of the refrigerator being the only sound in the house, I realized I had my answer. And oh, were they about to learn a lesson. If you're watching this, pull up a chair and pour yourself some tea. You're going to want to hear how this ends. And if you've ever felt invisible to the people you sacrificed everything for, do me a favor, subscribe and let me know in the comments. What's the one thing you wish your children understood about you? Let me take you back to where this started. It wasn't a dark and stormy night. It was a Tuesday. A regular, boring Tuesday in Ohio. I'm Sandra. I've lived in this 3-bedroom ranch since 1982. My husband, Bill, passed 5 years ago, and since then the house has felt a little too big and a little too quiet. I have a routine. We grandmothers love our routines, don't we? It keeps the loneliness at bay. Every Tuesday, I walk to Miller's Corner Store. I buy a quart of milk, a newspaper, and 1 lottery ticket. I play the same numbers every time. 14 for Bill's birthday, 23 for our anniversary, 31 for the day my grandson Jake was born, and a few others that just feel lucky. Frank, my neighbor, was out watering his petunias that morning. Frank's a good man, but he loves to hear himself talk. Throwing your money away again, Sandra? He called out, leaning over the chain-link fence. You know you got better odds of being elected president while falling off a ladder. I just smiled. Someone has to win, Frank. Why not me? Because the game is rigged, he laughed. Save that $2 for coffee. I bought the ticket anyway. Call it intuition. Call it a whisper from Bill. But when I held that paper, my thumb brushed over the number 31, Jake's number, and I felt a spark. Not a literal shock, but a warmth. That night, I was sitting in my recliner, the one with the velvet upholstery that's starting to wear thin on the arms, watching the news. The balls dropped. 14, 23, 31, 05, 44. Mega ball 12. I didn't scream. I didn't faint. I just set my tea down very carefully on a coaster. I walked to the fridge, checked the numbers, and then I sat back down. 333 million. Do you know what the first thought is when you win that kind of money? It's not I'm buying a yacht. It's panic. I thought about safety. I thought about taxes. And then I thought about Derek and Ashley. My son Derek is a bank manager. He likes expensive suits and cars that cost more than my first house. My daughter Ashley owns a lifestyle consulting business, which as far as I can tell, involves telling people how to organize their closets for a fee. I reached for the phone to call them. I was going to scream, "We're rich. We made it." But my hand hovered over the keypad. I remembered Thanksgiving 2 months ago. Derek had spent the whole dinner checking his watch, complaining that the turkey was dry, and making subtle digs about how I should sell the house because the market is peaking, and I don't need all this space. I remembered Ashley's birthday. I had knitted her a beautiful throw blanket, Alpaca wool took me 3 months. She opened it, gave a tight, fake smile and said, "Ah, cute. I'll put it in the guest room." I found it in her donation pile in the garage 2 hours later. I put the phone down. Not yet, I thought. Not just yet. For 3 weeks I kept the secret. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I hired a lawyer in the city, a sharp woman named Sarah who didn't look at me like a confused old lady. We set up anonymity protections. We planned. But the doubt was eating at me. Am I being unfair? I asked myself. Maybe they're just stressed. Maybe they do love me, and I'm just being a sensitive old woman. That's why I came up with the test. I needed to know if they would help me when I had nothing to offer. Because let's be honest, mothers spend their whole lives giving. We give our bodies, our sleep, our food, our money. But what happens when the well runs dry? I decided to call them and say I was broke, that there was a mix-up with Social Security, and I needed $200 for my heart medication. I called Derek first. He answered on the second ring. "Sandra? Is everything okay? I'm in a meeting." He calls me Sandra now. Not Mom. Just Sandra. He says it's more professional. "Derek, I'm so sorry to bother you," I said, pitching my voice up a little, making it sound thin and worried. "I'm at the pharmacy. There's been a problem with my check. They won't give me my heart pills without the copay. It's $200. I promise I'll pay you back next week." Silence. I could hear him typing on a keyboard. $200, he repeated, his voice dripping with annoyance. "Sandra, we discussed this. You have a budget." "I know, but the heating bill was higher this month and—" "Stop," he interrupted. "I can't do this right now. I just put a down payment on the new boat and cash flow is tight. Besides, this is a pattern. You're being irresponsible. If you can't manage your finances, maybe it's time we revisit the assisted living conversation." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Derek, it's for my heart. I'm having palpitations. Take an aspirin and drink some water," he said. "I have to go. The clients are waiting. Figure it out." He hung up. I sat there stunned. My son, who I had bailed out of credit card debt 3 times in his 20s, who I had bought a car for when he graduated, told me to take an aspirin and hung up. But surely Ashley would be different. She was my girl. We used to have girls' days where we'd get ice cream and talk about boys. I dialed her number. "Hey Mom," she answered. "Make it fast, I'm getting a pedicure." I gave her the same story. The check. The pills. The $200. "Oh my God, Mom, seriously?" She sighed so loud the manicurist probably heard it. "I literally just spent a fortune on highlights. I'm tapped out. Ashley, please. I'm scared." "Mom, you're always scared. You're becoming a hypochondriac. Look, I can't help you. Ask Derek." I did. He said no. "Well, then you have to figure it out. Sell some of that junk in the attic. Sell the silver Dad left you. It's not my problem. You're sick and frankly, you're being dramatic." And then she blocked me. That brings us back to the kitchen. The silence. The lottery ticket on the fridge. I felt like I was grieving. And in a way I was grieving the children I thought I had. I was realizing that the people I loved most in the world viewed me as nothing more than an ATM that had finally run out of cash. But there was one person left. Jake. My grandson. Ashley's son. He's 20 years old, a junior at Ohio State. He's studying business on a partial scholarship and works nights at a warehouse to pay for his books. He drives a rusted-out 2005 sedan that sounds like a tractor. I almost didn't call him. I was so afraid. If Jake turned me down. If Jake was like them, I don't think I could have survived it. But I dialed. "Grandma." His voice boomed through the phone, warm and loud. I could hear wind in the background. "I was just thinking about you. How are you?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Jake, honey, I'm in a bit of a pickle." I told him the lie. There was no sigh. No lecture. No hesitation. "Where are you?" he asked immediately. "Are you at the pharmacy?" "Put the pharmacist on the phone. I'll give them my card." "Jake, honey, you don't have." "Grandma, stop. How much is it?" $200. I have about $600 in my savings. I can transfer it to you right now. Do you have Zelle? No, wait, you hate apps. Okay, look, I'm leaving work. I can be there in 4 hours. 4 hours? Jake, you have classes. Screw classes, he said. If you don't have your heart meds, nothing else matters. I'm coming. Stay put. Do you have enough pills to last until I get there? Are you in pain? Grandma, talk to me. I broke down. I stood in my kitchen and sobbed. Grandma? Grandma, are you okay? Panic rose in his voice. I'm okay, baby, I choked out. I'm okay. Don't come. My neighbor Frank. Frank just walked in. He's lending me the money. Are you sure? I don't mind driving. I can bring you dinner. We can watch a movie. I'm sure. You keep your money, honey. I love you so much. I love you too, Grandma. Call me if you need anything. Seriously. Even if it's 3 a.m. I hung up the phone and wiped my face with a dish towel. The tears were gone. And in their place was something else. A fire. A cold, determined fire. My children wanted me to figure it out? Oh, I was going to figure it out. The next 3 days were a blur. I finalized the trust with Sarah. I instructed the bank to prepare specific documents. And I went car shopping. I didn't buy a Porsche. I bought a silver Honda Civic, top of the line with heated seats and a sunroof. Practical, safe, but brand new. I parked it in my driveway next to my old Buick. Then I summoned them. I sent a group text to Derek and Ashley. Family meeting. Sunday at 2 p.m. Urgent regarding my estate and living arrangements. I knew the word estate would bring them running like sharks to chum. Sunday afternoon, the driveway filled up. Derek arrived in his BMW looking impatient, checking his watch. Ashley pulled up in her Mercedes looking annoyed, wearing sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. And then Jake arrived, his old car chugging and sputtering up the street. I waited for them in the living room, the same room where we had opened Christmas presents for 30 years. I sat in Bill's old armchair. They came in. Derek didn't even say hello. Okay, Mom, we're here, he said, standing in the middle of the room. Is this about the assisted living facility? Because I brought brochures for Sunset Meadows. They have great financing options if we sell the house. Sit down, Derek, I said quietly. I prefer to stand. Let's make this quick. Ashley sat on the edge of the sofa, looking at the dust on the coffee table with disdain. Mom, please tell me you're finally being reasonable. We can't keep dealing with your financial dramas. Jake came in last. He walked straight to me, knelt down and took my hand. Grandma, how are you feeling? Did you get the meds? Is your heart okay? I squeezed his hand. My heart is full, Jake. Thank you. I looked at my children. I called this meeting because I have made some decisions about my future. And yours? Derek nodded. Good. It's about time. First, I said, I want to address the financial issues you both seem so concerned about. Derek, you mentioned my erratic behavior regarding money. It is erratic, Sandra. Begging for medication money is embarrassing. I agree, I said. It is embarrassing. But not for me. I picked up a manila folder from the side table. I did a little accounting last night. Derek, do you remember who paid for your wedding? The one with the ice sculpture. He shifted his weight. You and Dad did. It was a gift. And the down payment on your first house? $30,000. Mom, that was years ago. And Ashley, I turned to her. Who paid for your divorce lawyer? The shark who got you the alimony. You did, she muttered. I've spent the last 20 years being your safety net, I said, my voice rising just a little. I have given and I have given. And 3 days ago when I asked for $200 to keep my heart beating, you both turned your backs. We were trying to teach you a lesson. Ashley cried out. Tough love, I repeated. Well, I'm a quick learner. I've decided to apply some tough love of my own. I reached into the folder and pulled out the lottery ticket. I handed it to Jake. Jake, sweetheart, read the numbers on the back of this for me. And read the date. Jake squinted at the ticket. He looked confused. Then his eyes went wide. He pulled out his phone, his thumbs flying across the screen. He looked up at me, his face pale. Grandma, this is the winning ticket. From 3 weeks ago. That's right. The $300 million ticket? Derek laughed nervously. Mom, stop it. Is this a joke? Did you buy a fake ticket at the gag shop? It's real, I said calmly. The money has already been claimed. The trust is established. The taxes are paid. The net amount is just over $220 million. The silence in the room was absolute. You could hear a pin drop. You could hear Ashley's heavy breathing. You're rich. Ashley whispered. You were rich when you called us? I was. Then why did you ask for money? Derek shouted, his face turning red. That's entrapment. You were testing us. Yes, I was, I snapped. And you failed. Spectacularly. Derek ran a hand through his hair. He was calculating. I could see the wheels turning, how to salvage this, how to backpedal. Mom, look, he started, his voice suddenly smooth as silk. Obviously, if we had known. We were just stressed. We love you. We were just worried about your mental state. That's why we mentioned the home. We wanted you safe. Save it, Derek, I said. I hired a private investigator last week. He froze. You what? I wanted to know why my wealthy banker son couldn't spare $200. Turns out you're not as wealthy as you look. You're leveraged to the hilt, aren't you? The boat, the second mortgage, the gambling debts. Derek went white. And Ashley, I continued, your business is failing. You're living off credit cards to maintain appearances. That's private. Ashley shrieked. Not anymore. Because here is the interesting part. I pulled 2 thick envelopes from the folder. I decided to do something with my winnings. I decided to clear the family debt. Ashley's eyes lit up. You paid off our cards? I bought your debt, I corrected. I contacted the collections agencies, the banks, the credit card companies. I bought it all. Every penny. So we're debt-free? Derek asked, a smile tugging at his lips. No, I smiled. You now owe me. I dropped the envelopes on the coffee table. I am your creditor. And I'm not a nice one. Derek, you owe the trust $450,000. Ashley, you owe $300,000. And unlike the banks, I don't accept late payments. You can't do this. Derek yelled. We're your children. And I'm the mother you abandoned, I said. But don't worry. I'm not heartless. I'm offering you a payment plan. What kind of plan? Work, I said. Real work. I've bought the old community center downtown. We're turning it into a shelter for elderly people who have been forgotten by their families. You two are going to run it. You will scrub floors. You will serve meals. You will listen to their stories. You will work 40 hours a week. And I will deduct your wages from your debt. I have a job. Derek spit. Not anymore, I said. The bank knows about your gambling. The investigator made sure of that. You were let go this morning. Check your email. Derek slumped onto the sofa, defeated. I turned to Jake. He was sitting quietly, holding the lottery ticket like it was made of glass. He looked terrified. Jake, I said softly. Come outside with me. We walked out to the driveway. The sun was shining on the silver Honda Civic. That's yours, I said. Grandma, no. He shook his head. I can't. This is all too crazy. I don't want your money if it makes people act like that. He gestured toward the house, where his mother and uncle were arguing. That is exactly why you are getting it, I said. Jake, you were willing to give me your last dime. You were willing to drive through the night. You didn't care about the money. You cared about me. I took his face in my hands. He looks so much like his grandfather. The trust is set up, Jake. Your tuition is paid. Your master's degree is paid. And when I pass on the rest of it, the charity, the house, the remaining millions, it all goes to you. Why? He whispered, tears streaming down his face. Because you passed the test, honey. You learned the lesson without me having to teach it. Family isn't about whose blood you have. It's about who holds your hand when you're scared. He hugged me then. A real hug. The kind that puts broken pieces back together. Conclusion. It's been 6 months since that day. Derek and Ashley are working at the shelter. It's hard work. They complain. They blister. But yesterday, I saw Ashley painting the nails of a 90-year-old woman named Mrs. Higgins. And for the first time in years, I saw my daughter smile a real smile. Maybe, just maybe, they're learning. Jake graduates next spring. He comes over every Sunday for dinner. We don't talk about the money. We talk about his classes, my garden, and the Buckeyes game. I'm Sandra Williams. I'm a multimillionaire. But the most valuable thing I own isn't the money. It's the knowledge that when I called out in the dark, someone answered. To all the mothers out there feeling forgotten, you are precious. You are worthy. And to the children, call your mother. Not when you need money, just to say hello. Because one day the phone won't ring. And if you like this story, or if you've ever had to teach a family member a hard lesson, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe for more stories from this old lady. Love you all.